The Thames runs slow and grey on this April afternoon in 1536, carrying a covered barge toward the southeastern corner of the fortress. Inside, a prisoner sits in silence, feeling the pull and dip of the oars beneath him. Through a gap in the canvas, he catches his first glimpse of what the condemned have gazed upon for centuries: Traitor's Gate. The iron portcullis rises from the water like the jaws of some ancient beast, thick with algae, its surface marked by the tide's twice-daily passage. The stonework encircling it glistens, perpetually wet, perpetually cold, offering no purchase for desperate hands. This is the prison system's intake, a watergate that cannot be stormed by London's volatile crowds. Faster than any route winding through the city's knotted streets, and utterly inescapable once the barge commits to the channel. The architecture announces its purpose without apology. While the main gates face the city, open to witnesses vulnerable to unrest, Traitor's Gate faces the river. Prisoners arrive beyond the reach of public eyes, their degradation reserved for the controlled theatre within. Iron rings driven deep into the walls have held countless ropes across countless years, and the stone steps ascend from the waterline at an angle calibrated for both high tide and low. This is engineering as inevitability made physical. The barge glides beneath the arch. The world shifts. Water slaps against enclosed stone, wood groans against iron, and the sounds of the city vanish as if swallowed whole. The portcullis descends behind him with the cold finality of a verdict read aloud. He has passed the threshold. He has entered the machine. He steps onto the wharf, and the paradox strikes him at once. He is not descending into darkness. He is stepping into a city. The outer ward opens before him, 18 acres of controlled, relentless motion. To his left, a blacksmith's hammer rings out its steady rhythm from the forge. The scent of baking bread moves through the air from the ovens near the Royal Mint, where silver pennies are being pressed with the same mechanical precision that regulates every corner of this place. Guards complete their circuits without breaking stride. Servants haul water across worn cobblestones. A raven tears at something in the courtyard, indifferent and unhurried. This is the genius of the concentric design. The fortress is built in 3 nested rings of defense: outer curtain wall, inner curtain wall, and the white tower standing at the center like a stone heart. Each ring functions independently. The outer ward can strike the realm's coin, house exotic beasts from distant continents, and quarter 500 soldiers, all while prisoners decay in the inner sanctum, wholly unaware that lions are pacing their cages a mere 200 yards away. The system sustains itself without outside aid. Wells draw clean water. Storehouses hold enough grain to outlast a siege. The armory stands ready to equip a small army at a moment's notice. This is not simply a prison. It is a military machine that happens to contain cells, a city fortress capable of shifting from ceremony to punishment without so much as a hesitation. The prisoner moves between these two worlds in silence. Bakers work their dough while condemned men count what hours remain to them. The same walls that carry royal standards also bear the blackened marks left by fire and execution. The tower does not separate these functions from one another. It fuses them, constructing a space where the ordinary and the terrible share the same cobblestones, breathe the same air, exist beneath the same sky, without contradiction. They lead him deeper through the inner wall, beneath the shadow of the bloody tower. Above and beyond it, the white tower commands the skyline like a pale fist of stone driven into the London sky. William the Conqueror did not raise this structure to shelter Londoners. He raised it to break them. Construction began in 1078, a mere 12 years after Hastings, and every measurement carries the same cold declaration: Norman supremacy. The walls climb 90 feet from their foundations, 15 feet thick at the base, solid Kentish ragstone, hauled across the channel, the same stone that built the abbeys of Normandy. This is conquest expressed in architecture. The design is pure Norman brutalism, stripped of any pretense toward welcome. At ground level, the walls offer almost nothing. No windows for arrows to find, no doors for battering rams to splinter. The few narrow slits cut into the stone exist for defense alone, indifferent to the comfort of anyone confined within. At each corner, cream-colored limestone from Cayenne forms vertical bands that pull the eye upward, making the tower seem to swell beyond its already formidable dimensions. From street level, a medieval Londoner, Anglo-Saxon, conquered, carrying quiet resentment, would tilt his head back and find nothing but rising stone. No ornament, no welcoming arch, only the blunt, unambiguous fact of power. 90 feet of it, visible from every quarter of the city. The message required no words. It was built into the walls themselves. Rebellion ends here. The prisoner understands this now, as the guards march him past. The White Tower is not merely part of the prison system. It is the system, the central processor of a machine engineered to remind England's nobility that royal favor is fleeting, but royal stone endures forever. The door to the Beauchamp Tower cell swings shut. The lock turns, not with the dramatic crash of theatrical iron, but with the quiet, practiced click of a mechanism that has sealed hundreds before him. The candle shudders in the draught. The cell measures 12 feet by 8. A single window, barred and narrow, admits the last pale light of the evening. The floor is stone. The walls are stone. Everything is stone, save for the wooden bed frame and the bucket standing in the corner. But it is the walls that pull his attention and hold it. They are covered in messages from the dead. Here, cut with painstaking precision into the surface, a family crest, the 5 wounds of Christ rendered in intricate, deliberate detail by hands that had months, perhaps years, to refine every line. Below it, a passage of Latin scripture, each letter carefully shaped despite whatever crude instrument carved it. On the opposite wall, a calendar of uncertain purpose, columns of marks measuring time in a place where time has long since lost its meaning. This is the form of torment reserved for prisoners of high standing. No rack, no thumbscrews, only time. Suffocating, purposeless time. The tower's architects understood that noblemen could not be undone by common pain. Their bodies had been shielded by centuries of aristocratic privilege, but their minds could be dismantled by stripping away the single thing that had always defined them: purpose. Beyond these walls, they had commanded armies, governed vast estates, bent the course of policy to their will. In here, they have nothing, only stone and shadow, and the slow, silent dissolution of everything they once were. The carvings are acts of desperate self-preservation, proof scratched into rock that they existed, that they once possessed skill, learning, and faith. Every carved rose, every inscribed verse is a scream against erasure rendered in absolute silence. And the system turned even this to its advantage. While prisoners carved, they were not engineering escape. While they prayed, they were not stirring rebellion. While they tallied the passing days, they were yielding, increment by increment, to the machine's most fundamental truth. The tower does not hurry. It simply waits. The stones are patient. The stones always win. The prisoner draws his fingers slowly across an inscription dated 40 years before his arrival. The man who carved these marks died within these same walls. Everyone knows it. The carvings remain, but the carver was reduced to nothing more than a name buried in the records, an estate seized by the crown. a warning passed between courtiers in lowered voices. Dawn breaks over the Thames. The bell in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula strikes 6, the sound rolling across the inner ward and pressing through the barred window. The prisoner opens his eyes to another day of waiting, and here is the machine's ultimate efficiency. It requires no spectacle. It demands no sustained violence. It needs only to be inevitable. The tower's power lives in its permanence. Monarchs die. Dynasties collapse. Political alliances shift like the water beyond Traitor's Gate. But the stones remain. The same walls that held prisoners in 1100 still rise in 1536. The same gates that swallowed traitors under the Plantagenets swallow them under the Tudors. The system outlasts every individual ruler because it is not built for any one of them. It is built into the very foundation of royal power itself. Consider the arithmetic of terror. From 1100 to 1600, the tower held prisoners without interruption. Some remained for weeks, others for years. A few, like the princes in the tower, never emerged at all. But here is the calculation that truly matters. For every man locked inside these walls, 10,000 nobles moved freely beyond them, each one carrying the constant awareness that their liberty rested entirely on royal favor and tower stone. The machine did not derive its power from the prisoners it held. It derived its power from the prisoners it could hold. Every English courtier who bowed before his monarch did so understanding that Traitor's Gate stood waiting on the Thames, that cells sat empty and ready in the Beauchamp Tower, that the system demanded no justification beyond a single word from the sovereign, and the genius of its construction is that it required almost nothing to sustain. No elaborate torture chambers to staff, no complex machinery of execution to maintain, only guards, gates, and the unhurried movement of time. The tower converted royal displeasure into permanent detention with the quiet efficiency of a millstone grinding, indifferent as the tide rising and falling outside its walls. Beyond the fortress, London expands. Merchants strike their deals. Apprentices bend over their work. Life continues with the same indifference that the Thames shows to every soul who passes through Traitor's Gate. The tower does not disrupt the city's rhythm. It establishes it. The chapel bells that count out the hours serve both devotion and warning at once. Time moves. Stone endures. The machine is always prepared. The prisoner stands at his window and watches the morning light settle across the White Tower's pale walls. Somewhere inside the fortress, a guard rotation completes. A key finds its lock. A door opens, then closes. The machine performs its function, patient, precise, unhurried. The portcullis may lift today for visitors, their cameras trained on medieval stonework and crown jewels resting behind glass. But the stones hold their memory. They remember the silence. They remember the sound of fingernails scraping desperate messages into surfaces that would outlast the hands that carved them. They remember that power, at its most refined, requires no defense beyond its own persistence. The tower wrote its lesson into Kentish ragstone and Norman limestone, and England learned it well. Rebellion is temporary. Consequences are architecture. We study the past in order to read the present clearly. The gates stand open now, but they remember, with perfect patience, exactly how to close.